Hello, lone wolves. In a world where men fight tooth and nail for dominance, where voices are raised to demand recognition, and where the strong scramble over the weak in a relentless climb to the top, there exists an anomaly. A man who neither shouts nor struggles, yet somehow, without effort, he commands influence that others can only dream of. Some conquer with vast armies, wielding force and fear to subdue their enemies. Others use words, persuading, manipulating, and outmaneuvering their rivals in the grand chess game of power. But the rarest of them all, the one who neither fights nor argues. He does not chase influence, yet it orbits around him. He does not seek control, yet structures shift in his presence. This is the Sigma male, the man who defies classification, who operates beyond the confines of social hierarchy, and who, simply by existing, unravels the illusions upon which society is built. The man who doesn't seek power, yet wields it. Most men exert great effort to attain status. The alpha fights to remain on top, imposing his will and asserting dominance over those beneath him. The beta seeks approval and security within the system, content to follow the rules and play his part. The Sigma, however, neither dominates nor submits. He steps outside the hierarchy entirely, refusing to participate in a game that most men exhaust themselves playing. Yet, paradoxically, it is this very refusal that grants him power. He does not seek control, yet control naturally gravitates toward him. Those around him sense his quiet strength, his ability to move through life unaffected by the desperate struggles of others. He does not demand respect, yet it is freely given. His actions speak louder than words, and his presence alone unsettles those who rely on hierarchy to define their worth. The unseen threat to the system. The world is built on a delicate web of power structures. Organizations, social groups, and institutions thrive on predictability, on knowing who will lead, who will follow, and who will resist. The Sigma male disrupts this balance simply by existing. He is an unknown variable, one who cannot be controlled, swayed, or placed neatly into a role. Where others seek validation, he remains indifferent. Where others fear isolation, he thrives in it. Because of this, he is seen as dangerous, not in a loud or aggressive way, but in the unsettling manner of a man who refuses to be manipulated. Systems struggle to function around him because he plays by no one's rules but his own. He doesn't rebel, yet his presence alone is an act of rebellion. He doesn't challenge authority directly, yet authority feels challenged in his presence. The game changes around him. Most men spend their lives playing a game of power, jockeying for status, navigating social politics, and trying to outmaneuver rivals. The Sigma male does not play the game, yet somehow the game shifts to accommodate him. His mere presence forces others to reconsider their positions, to second-guess their assumptions. Why? Because he is an anomaly. He operates on his own terms, guided not by external validation, but by an unwavering sense of self. This confounds those who rely on the predictable behaviors of others to maintain control. When a man does not seek approval, manipulation fails. When he does not crave status, threats lose their power. When he does not react emotionally, provocation becomes useless. The ultimate exposure. This is not just an analysis. It is an exposure, a revelation of the unseen force that reshapes the world not through brute strength or deception, but through quiet, unshakable presence. The Sigma male does not need to raise his voice, because the world bends to his silence. He does not chase influence, because true influence is never chased. It is commanded through sheer presence. This is the essence of the silent conqueror, and once you recognize him, you will see his influence everywhere. 1. The identity crisis victims. The fragility of borrowed personalities. For many people, identity is not something deeply rooted within them. It is something they assemble from external influences, much like a patchwork quilt. Their sense of self is stitched together from trends, societal expectation, and borrowed opinions, carefully designed to align with what is socially acceptable. They dress in a certain way because that's what fashion dictates. They speak in a manner that matches their environment, adjusting their tone, vocabulary, and even interests based on the company they keep. But beneath the surface, this identity is fragile. It is built not on self-awareness, but on the fear of rejection. Every action is a performance, a subconscious effort to fit in and avoid standing out too much. They don't believe in things because they've deeply thought about them. They believe because it's safe. Their existence is a script, written not by their own hands, but by the expectations of those around them. The Sigma's unshakable authenticity. Then they meet a Sigma male, and everything starts to crumble. The Sigma does not conform. He is not swayed by trends, nor does he adjust his personality to make others comfortable. He doesn't tailor his beliefs for approval, nor does he filter his presence to fit into pre-existing social molds. He is unapologetically himself, regardless of who is watching. This is where the disruption begins. Those who spend their lives seeking approval and mirroring others suddenly find themselves in the presence of someone who does not play the same game. Unlike them, he isn't wearing a mask. His confidence is real, unshakable, and unbothered by external validation. And worst of all, he doesn't acknowledge their performance. The collapse of the fake self. For those whose identities are crafted rather than discovered, encountering a Sigma male is an unsettling experience. Their usual strategies, seeking validation, mirroring behaviors, adjusting their opinions to match the room, fail instantly. They watch the Sigma move through the world without hesitation, without the constant need for reassurance, and it forces them to confront a brutal, haunting question. Who am I when no one's applauding? This realization is often devastating. Their confidence, which they always believed to be real, suddenly feels hollow. The sense of self they've carefully constructed begins to crumble. The Sigma doesn't even have to say anything. His mere existence exposes the illusion. And once the mask starts slipping, they are left with only two choices. Face the truth, acknowledge their performative nature, strip away the borrowed layers, and start the painful process of rebuilding a real identity. Keep pretending. Continue the act, knowing deep down that it is just that, an act. Most people choose the latter. It's easier, less painful, less disruptive. But they never forget the Sigma male who forced them to see the truth, the one who, simply by being himself, revealed the fragility of their existence. 2. The attention-addicted influencers. The illusion that visibility equals value. In today's world, influence is a numbers game. The more likes, followers, and views someone accumulates, the more valuable they believe they are. In a society driven by digital validation, many build their entire identities around being noticed. They operate under a simple but flawed belief. The louder you are, the more you're heard. The more you're seen, the more you matter. For these individuals, attention is not just validation, it is survival. Every post, every carefully staged moment, every opinion tailored for maximum engagement is part of a relentless cycle of performance and approval seeking. They thrive on the spotlight, manufacture drama to stay relevant, and believe their self-worth is measured by the number of eyes watching them. To them, being invisible is the worst possible fate, the Sigma's silent rebellion. Then they encounter a Sigma male, and their carefully constructed world starts to unravel. Here is a man who does not seek attention, does not follow trends, does not care whether he is seen or not, and yet people notice him anyway. They are drawn to him not because he demands attention, but because he commands presence. He doesn't chase trends, yet his authenticity sets him apart. He doesn't need an audience, yet people naturally gravitate toward him. His influence is effortless, and that alone is enough to shatter the illusion the attention-addicted live by. The devastating realization. For those who depend on external validation, encountering a Sigma is a nightmare they never saw coming. Their greatest fear is in criticism. They can handle hate because even negativity fuels engagement. Their real fear is irrelevance. And the Sigma male embodies something they never considered possible. You can be invisible and still hold power. While they shout, perform, and scramble for fleeting validation, he remains silent and composed, yet undeniably respected. His power comes from presence, not performance. His confidence exists without an audience. His identity is solid, even in obscurity, and in that quiet, unshakable presence. The attention seeker's entire hustle crumbles, because deep down they know without an audience they are nothing. But the Sigma, he is everything, even when no one is watching. 3. The unquestioning obedient types. The lifelong conditioning to obey. From childhood, most people are trained to follow. Society instills obedience as a virtue, conditioning individuals to follow rules without question, respect authority without scrutiny, accept traditions without thought. For them, obedience equals safety. It is easier to conform than to challenge. It is safer to obey than question. They believe that stability comes from compliance, and stepping outside the lines means risking alienation, conflict, or punishment. Their lives are guided by invisible but rigid boundaries: what to believe, how to act, and where they fit within the social order. And because they have never considered another way, they assume this is just how life works. The Sigma is ruthless independence. Then they meet a Sigma male, and everything they've been taught begins to unravel. Here's a man who questions everything, respects only what is earned, not what is demanded, obeys nothing blindly. He does not follow rules for the sake of following them. He does not submit to authority unless it is proven its worth. He does not participate in traditions simply because they exist. The Sigma doesn't rebel loudly. He doesn't try to convince others to follow him. He simply lives outside the system, without consequence. And that is what terrifies the obedient types the most: the system's fatal flaw. For those who spent their entire lives conforming, this realization is unsettling. The system only works because people like me uphold it. Their belief in structure, rules, and hierarchy depends on universal participation. If everyone follows the same script, the world feels predictable and controlled. But the Sigma proves something dangerous: that participation is a choice, not a requirement. He doesn't argue against the system. He doesn't fight it. He simply exists outside of it. And when they see this firsthand, the illusion of control collapses. Because once they understand that one person can break free without consequence, they begin to question why they have spent their whole lives submitting. And nothing is more dangerous to the system than an obedient person realizing they never had to obey in the first place. For the emotional blackmailers, the art of manipulation through guilt. Emotional blackmailers are masters of control, but their tactics don't involve direct confrontation. Instead, they use guilt and fear as their primary weapons, subtly coercing people into compliance. They thrive on three primary fears: fear of abandonment. If you don't do what I want, I'll leave you. Fear of disapproval. If you don't agree with me, you're a bad person. Fear of being the bad guy. If you stand your ground, you're selfish and cruel. By exploiting these fears, they make people feel obligated to meet their demands, whether through emotional outbursts, silent treatment, or playing the victim. Most people fall for this manipulation because they are conditioned to seek approval and avoid conflict. But then, they encounter a Sigma male. The Sigma's immunity to guilt tripping. When emotional manipulators attempt their usual tactics on a Sigma, something strange happens. Nothing. No guilt. No pleading. No reaction. The Sigma remains unmoved, detached, and unbothered. Why? Because he doesn't operate on external validation. He doesn't fear disapproval, nor does he feel compelled to explain himself or cater to someone's emotional outbursts. A Sigma male sees manipulation for what it is, a desperate attempt to control, and refuses to participate. The power void, when manipulation fails. Emotional blackmail only works when the victim engages. The moment someone refuses to play along, the manipulator loses all power. If they guilt trip him, he walks away. If they play the victim, he sees through it. If they withdraw affection, he lets them go. And that is where the manipulator faces a terrifying truth. They have no control over him. Because the Sigma's greatest weapon isn't aggression, arguments, or counter-manipulation. It's indifference. He simply doesn't care about their games. And for an emotional manipulator, nothing is more devastating than being powerless. 5. The time wasters and energy leeches. The vampiric nature of draining people. Some people don't just exist in the world. They feed off the energy of those around them. These individuals don't seek genuine connection, growth, or balance. They survive by draining others. They come in many forms. The constant complainers, always venting, never improving. The attention demanders, needing validation at all times. The emotional dumpers, treating others like unpaid therapists. They bring problems, but never solutions. They expect others to listen, support, and carry their burdens, yet offer nothing in return. To them, friendship isn't about mutual respect. It's about having an audience for their endless chaos. But when they encounter a Sigma male, their cycle of energy theft comes to a sudden halt. The Sigma's ruthless boundaries. Sigma males value their time and mental energy above all else. They operate with a strict filtering system, allowing only those who bring genuine value into their space. That means no pointless small talk. Conversations must be meaningful or they won't happen. No drama indulgence. He doesn't care about petty conflicts. No free therapy sessions. He is an emotional sponge for people who refuse to fix their own lives. To a Sigma, every interaction is an exchange. If someone is constantly withdrawing but never depositing, they're cut off. And he doesn't announce it. He doesn't argue about it. He simply disappears. The leech's starvation. For energy vampires, this is a death sentence. They thrive on engagement, whether it's attention, sympathy, or even frustration. As long as someone is reacting to them, they feel validated. But when they try to latch onto a Sigma, they get nothing. No reaction, no sympathy, no emotional response, just silence. And in that silence, they wither, because a parasite cannot survive without a host. 6. The always available people. The myth that accessibility equals worth. Most people believe that in order to be valued, they must always be reachable. They treat availability as a social currency, thinking that the more present they are, the more they'll be wanted, respected, or needed. So they respond instantly, answer every call, and make themselves always on call, fearing that if they're not immediately accessible, they'll be forgotten or replaced. But this constant need to be available has the opposite effect. Instead of being seen as valuable, they become predictable. People take their presence for granted. Desperate. Their eagerness signals insecurity. Disposable. If they're always there, they're never truly missed. By trying to be everything to everyone, they end up meaning nothing to anyone. And then they encounter a Sigma male, a man who operates on an entirely different wavelength. The Sigma scarcity principle. A Sigma male never plays a game of constant availability. He understands a simple yet powerful truth. The rarer something is, the more valuable it becomes. So he controls access to himself in ways that others can't. He replies when he wants, not when others demand it. He disappears without explanation, leaving people wondering where he went. He never lets anyone dictate his time because his independence comes first. Unlike most, he is not afraid to be unreachable. He doesn't seek validation through instant responses or approval through accessibility. And this drives people crazy. The addiction of uncertainty. Human psychology craves what it cannot fully have. When someone is too available, they are taken for granted. When someone is just out of reach, they become irresistible. This is where the Sigma male's true power lies. He doesn't beg for attention, yet people hang on to his every move. He doesn't chase validation, yet people seek his approval. He doesn't fight to be seen, yet people obsess over his presence. While the always available fade into the background, the Sigma stand apart. He doesn't need to demand attention. He commands it effortlessly. Conclusion. Final truth. The Sigma's ultimate weapon. A Sigma male does not seek conflict, nor does he go out his way to tear others down. He is not a tyrant, a manipulator, or a conqueror in the traditional sense. Yet, wherever he goes, things fall apart. Not because he attacks, not because he schemes, but because his mere existence reveals uncomfortable truths that others desperately try to ignore. A Sigma doesn't destroy people, he exposes them. The silent mirror, how the Sigma reveals the truth. Most people spend their lives wrapped in illusions. They build identities on the approval of others, always seeking validation to feel worthy. The safety of conformity, following the rules without questioning their purpose. The fear of authenticity, hiding their real selves to avoid rejection. They move through life playing roles, doing what expected, and avoiding anything that might disrupt their fragile sense of self. And then they encounter a Sigma male, a man who does not seek validation because his self-worth comes within, does not conform because he sees through the illusions, does not fear rejection because he would rather be alone than be fake. Suddenly, their carefully constructed false identity crumbles. The Sigma's most devastating truth. By refusing to play their games, the Sigma male forces people to face themselves. The attention seekers realize their worth is tied to others' opinions. The obedient followers recognize they've never questioned the systems they serve. The manipulators see their tricks fail in the face of indifference. And in that moment of exposure, something powerful happens. They destroy themselves, not by the Sigma's hand, not through arguments or battles, but through the realization that their entire foundation was built on lies. The Sigma male does not need to fight. He simply exists, and the world around him falls apart. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.